Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Extra Connections with James Lott Jr., and I'm here because I always bring you people, places, ideas, concepts, and we try to connect you with them. And I have a guest today. This is great. As we start the beginning of November, it is November, you guys, already. The year is almost over. This is crazy talk. And I actually think this concept and what we're going to talk about today actually is relatable for this time of the year, especially as we enter holiday season. Holidays mean a lot of things for a lot of different people. And as many of you know and follow me know that I had a lot of loss in the last couple of months. So it's going to be a really interesting holiday season for myself. And how we handle the holiday season is different for everyone. So I'll tell you, I get a lot of people across my desk all the time. My computer, across my desk, pictures for my show to come on the show. And when you get a title like this, a rehab that lets you drink, I had opened the email. I was like, I need to open the email and see what's going on. And when I started to read it, I am more and more intrigued. And I can't wait to have this conversation with this person today. Okay, so we're going to talk to the founder of Evo Health and Wellness, a brand new addiction treatment center in Venice, California. It's a place for helping people who need moderating their drink intake, but aren't requiring full-blown sobriety. So you're probably thinking, what does that mean? I have an idea, but we're going to talk to the person who's going to actually explain it to us and the whole concept. And I'm going to make sure I say his name correctly. Koorosh Rasskeh. Koorosh, did I say it correctly?
Good morning, James. That was perfect.
Yay! How are you, Koorosh? How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. A little sugar hangover, but
oh yes,
that happens on November 1.
And my grandkids always give, because I don't actually go trick or treating. Obviously, I'm a little too old. But my grandkids always give me pieces of their candy they know I like, and they'll give me a little bag, so I get to have each of their candy. Let me have a little bit of their bag every year. So they share with me. I like that.
That's great. That's really great. It's funny to watch kids and their interactions. From hoarding to sharing
yes.
to sharing because they've been told they have to share.
Yeah, yes.
A whole range of behaviors.
Yes, that part is. That's funny you said. That's very true. And well, now they get a little older. My grandkids are entering. They're preteens now, so they're entering into that. So where they're being a little nicer, but then also there are other things going on too as they get into preteen years, the tween years. So it's been actually a lot of very interesting to watch. But they're not my kids; they're my grandkids, so I get to watch from afar. So that part's great. So I want to read a quote that you read first before we even begin to talk about this amazing subject. According to you can tell me if this quote is correct or not, but this is a quote that it says from you. One of the greater issues holding individuals back from successful recovery or leading a successful life is the lack of knowledge surrounding their options. It shouldn't be so black and white. So I am reading into this as not every, because I've heard the whole concept of heavy drinker versus alcoholic. So can you talk about that a little bit about this the options for people other than just alcohol addiction?
Sure. Boy, that's a huge question. So
let's start it out. Let's start out big.
No, it's great. Let's start there. It's really great. For starters, one of the main barriers for people to go into try to get help. And we're not talking about people who are walking around and sort of ambivalent to the struggle that they're having. These are people who are having a tough time. They know it. The relationship with substances is not going the way they want it to go. But unlike almost every other kind of struggle that we might have in the field of treatment, addiction treatment, they're met head on with this decided label, alcoholic addict, that's imposed on everybody that reaches out to say, I've got a problem. Mm-hmm. And not only that, a prescription. It's a Halloween bag of really bad candy that says the rest of your life you have to live in this particular way, giving up a social norm that's a part of the way we celebrate, the part of the way that we mourn, the part of the way of different spiritual and religious traditions.
Mm-hmm.
It's a part of, some anthropologists would say it's a part of the fabric of what makes us human, which is mind alteration. And certainly the way that we do that primarily is through ingestion of substances that change our perceptions. So these people are left to sort of let the pain get so bad that they can even begin to consider getting help. And in that, there is struggle, there is aloneness, there's loneliness, there's certainly medical, financial, physical, relational, you name it, every kind of problem that there can be. And here's the big problem with all of this. It's not necessarily true. Moderation is a viable option that has existed for people whose relationship with substances has been as corrupted as anybody else's. Sort of even the line that you drew between a heavy drinker versus an alcoholic. Where is that line? Who created that? That's a good question to ask.
Yeah, because it's one of the things because I had people in my life growing up that were alcoholics. They were not, to me, I mean, there was a chemical imbalance in them, obviously, that just completely destroyed their lives, and in many ways tried to destroy mine because I was a kid or a teenager or a young adult. And once they got help, they had to go the full route of complete AA or whatever, or NA or whatever it was, and it worked for them. But I have a couple of friends who didn't go to AA, but got ostracized for not going. But from people saying, well, you should be doing, but they just cut down their intake and they've been fine. There were times when, like I said, during the holiday season, it's like when they get depressed or it reminds them of someone, or their father died 2 years ago or whatever, they would drink a lot more. Or there are times when they would feel lonely, go out to the club 5 nights a week, 1 week, and drink a lot. But then the next week they wouldn't drink at all.
Right.
So it's like, my brain was like, well, then I guess they're not really alcoholic. They just drank a lot that week because they felt they hated their job. And trust me, I know that one too, where I had a job I hated and I drank to forget about it at night.
Right.
But I would be told by some certain people that, well, you should be an AA or you should be an NA or you should be this. You should be. I'm like, well, I don't think I'm not alcoholic. I don't think I'm that. Those people are that far along. So to read this and hear you talk about this like this is a very controversial, of course, a very interesting concept that I can get behind.
Yeah, and just think about the way that you even described, and this is the way that pretty much unanimously in the world of mental health services and even medical services, there's really no question that the use of substances or other behaviors in these bigger ways, in these ways that don't seem to fit into somebody's life but create harm in that person's life, is a response to something.
Mm-hmm.
Holiday, great one. It says, this is whether it means really great things to you or whether it means really awful things to you, or as you mentioned, because of losses that you've had. Maybe it's transitioned from a great time of year to a sadder time of year. And so the idea that we use these coping strategies, these ways of taking care of ourselves at times of struggle, is in fact human behavior. It is the way that we do it. So what I suggest is for people who aren't able to take a week off or who go into more use and don't come out of it for extended periods or are having a tougher time maintaining what they would themselves describe as a healthy relationship with substances, what that basically means is the holiday season, and metaphorically, never ends for them.
Right.
The struggle is so great that problems belonging, the feelings of isolation, the purpose, worth, dignity, these fundamental things that we get, and as we go through our lives and get these rewards, they don't seem to be there for those people, and so they need to resort to this use pattern more frequently, and of course, then that becomes its own thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go into these cycles of use, planning, use, being high or drunk or whatever, coming off of it, trying to put it all together. That feels really terrible. There's the biological impact of withdrawal that interestingly, is not consistent across people.
Mm-hmm.
But nonetheless, it happens, and then the hair of the dog, or whatever you might want to call
Right.
it, that then brings you back into it. So that's our position, is that it's not that there's something fundamentally wrong with these people. It's that these people are having a bigger struggle.
No.
And they're taking care of themselves in the same way that others do. They just have to keep taking care of themselves all the time.
So it seems to me, what I'm hearing is that you're heavily about focusing on, well, literally the person, and trying to figure out what the triggers are, what the issues are, like really go delve into the person, where it leads them to grab a drink, or what some would say with drinks. So leads them to grab a drink or two or five. You're looking at the person. If they're a patient or a person in front of you, you're looking at them first.
That's right. We're looking at them and their relationships, the world around them. This is the concept of isolation is really important to us. It's when you think about traumas, that whether it's at young ages or later in life, or being part of a marginalized community, or somehow having this simply being an introvert in an extroverted world makes it harder. All right, so those are the triggers that you might call the precipitating events.
Mm-hmm.
What we do is we look at, well, what does that mean? What does that cause? That's hard, and usually it's some form of isolation. It's some form of feeling alone, trying to deal with a monster of some sort in an alone way. So yes, we absolutely look at the human component, the individual, and from a relational perspective, the relationship to self, relationship to the world around, relationship to others, and then the relationship to behaviors and relationship to substances. And the idea being that we work on developing healthier relationships, identifying what is it that gets in the way of those healthy relationships, working with clients to imagine what they even want those relationships to be, and then working towards those and developing mechanisms that allow people to slow down and check in and go, how's it going? This was my ideal. This is the way I wanted to do it. This is the way it seems like I am doing it. How does that fit for me? Is it working or is it not working? And when it's not working, what we do is think about that and help clients to think about that as that's a sign that some part of life isn't working out very well. And how do we now adjust that?
Mm-hmm. It sounds to me that you're kind of going. I mean, so someone comes for help, you're kind of doing the same thing instead of just saying, okay, here's quote unquote a book. You're bad. You're an alcoholic. Now let's go that direction. You're saying, come to us. Let's sit down, figure this out, and figure out what level you are at, and let's figure out what's going on with you before we just label you a label.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly what we do. And because of the world that we live in and the power of the primary story that's out there, people usually come in, and a lot of our early work with people from that very first consultation that they may call at their worst time through much of the treatment is even helping people develop a different internal dialogue that moves away from ... I suck to, oh, this is why I did that. This is how it was serving me. I was doing a consultation with a client just last week, and the way that he described before the use got out of hand, the words he used were freedom, creativity, peace. I mean, imagine that. To need to ingest the substance to feel peace. For just a brief moment, what that does is it tells you not only what benefit this person gets, but it gives you a little bit of a glimpse to what must it be like the rest of the time.
Right. Right. Now, let's just step back for a second and talk about you a little bit. Like, who are you and why should people be listening to you?
Okay.
So I'm like, because you are an MMFT. So what is that exactly?
That means that I have a master's in marriage and family therapy.
Okay.
And to step back a little bit, I come from my own struggles with substances.
Okay.
Just about every kind of substance you could imagine, and I would be somebody that the treatment industry would call success.
Okay.
Which is rare, right? Depending on the numbers you look at,
yes,
they go from ridiculously bad to just really awful.
Yes.
And I purposefully don't give numbers because they're vague in terms of what is even success.
Yeah.
So I end up in treatment later in life, and looking back, and here we get to have this conversation with my current version here.
Mm-hmm.
There was no way that not only was I not going to seek help, the idea of asking for help would mean too much for me. It would unravel this entire story and give me a label that would be too far away from what I needed, which was acceptance. And I actually got acceptance through substance use. It was a way for an immigrant from the wrong part of the world to gain traction in my needs at a young age. And this sort of persevered. So I end up in treatment, and of course treatment at that time is basically 12-step driven. It was really at the beginning of where 12-step treatment was starting to become less popular.
Okay.
So I ended up, because that was not going to be for me. For me, part of the problem was also religiosity and my own experiences around what made sense to me and what didn't, and family dynamics, etc. So the idea of going into something that was religious-based or spiritually-based was not available to me. So I ended up in a treatment facility that is non-12-step, which was completely 12-step. Right? So, which is the lion's share of the treatment in the U.S. even today.
Yeah.
The treatment is built on 12-step principles.
Yeah.
Even if it's delivered under cognitive behavioral therapy or dialectical behavior therapy modalities, but the ideas of what they're trying to deliver is very much from the 1930s.
Wow.
And by the way, I'm by no means an anti-12-stepper. I think 12-step, all of the versions of 12-step, are some of the most amazing, powerful, helpful organizations on the planet.
Yes,
Millions of people will openly admit that their lives have been saved by these organizations. So from a self-selecting social support organization, there's nothing better. It's amazing. Now, there are others that are growing.
Yeah.
There's one that's gaining a lot of momentum called Smart Recovery. Also abstinence-based, but it has taken away the spiritual aspect and replaced it with sort of decision-making criteria.
Oh, okay.
There's other ones as well.
Okay.
So anyway, so here I am in treatment, and of course desperate, and end up in 12-step. And in that process, I decide to become a therapist. So I go to grad school and begin to learn how to help people. And I start working almost immediately. In fact, before I even went to grad school, I volunteered at a rehab as a way of trying to decide, is this really what I want to do?
Wow.
Am I suited for this kind of work? So I did that for a while. Then I applied, etc. So I began working in the field of addiction treatment while going to grad school, and had, just very lucky. I had some amazing training experiences and amazing mentors that I got to work with. But in this process, I started to feel this conflict inside. It seemed to me like the whole world of mental health services that was really, really effective came from essentially the same perspective, regardless of how the therapist worked.
Okay.
It came from a relational place of identifying what's happening for people, expanding the story of, say, depression.
Yeah.
I'm depressed. It's usually met with, do you have depression or are you depression? Is your depression variable or is it always the same?
Yeah.
And in just having these conversations, what is it that makes you feel better?
Right.
How is it that depression even maybe serves you, etc.? But then in the field of addiction treatment, it's kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
Come in, and it's like the sooner and the more completely you embody this notion that I am an addict, we can even begin the work.
Right.
And that just didn't seem correct to me. So that's really set me on this course. moving forward as a therapist, and then I got to work in a very special federal grant working with adolescents. It was the first of its kind where kids could get treatment. They had to be referred in because of substance-related problems.
Okay.
School problems usually.
Yeah.
Or parents, but they would come in. And in this treatment, I didn't have to worry about the substances so much.
Oh, okay.
They did testing because it was a research grant. They wanted to know what was happening.
Yeah.
But that's not what I focused on. I focused on helping kids gain traction in their lives. I got to play video games with them and go bike riding and do creative things and talk about relationships and help them academically, get them tutors, help them relationally, et cetera, et cetera. And at the same time, I'm working with the, let's call it the traditional population in the treatment.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to notice something that's pretty awesome. The kids that I'm working with, one by one, start correcting their own shit.
Wow.
They're starting to have conversations with me around, my friends are always high, and I don't know what to do with that. I don't really want to be high all the time anymore.
Got it.
They
Wow.
start talking to me about, that they're choosing other things instead of getting drunk or high or etc. And substances are starting to take a more right-sized space in their life.
Okay.
Versus the other population that's in for addiction treatment. So that was kind of the final nail that sort of set me on this path around, wait a minute, what would happen if we stopped focusing on the substances, which is the symptom, and started focusing on the root causes of addiction, which is just a difficulty getting along.
Well, you know what? I'm also hearing. Sorry to interrupt, but you know what I'm also hearing from you in a way is that you're also saying let's deal with not labeling people automatically, so that they already feel something because they're being labeled already. Because as you and I both know, people as we're people of color and people who are immigrant, people from other countries and stuff. You and I both know this. Once you're labeled something, generally labeled something, that has an effect on you, how you act.
That's right.
So I think when I'm hearing you, I'm like, it's kind of like, that's why I had to interrupt you, because I'm like, what you're saying to me is kind of clicking for me. It's almost like saying, let's take that out. That you can choose if that's you or not. Like you can kind of, that's your choice. But I'm not going to say, well, you're already this already, so no, you're doomed.
That's right. Absolutely.
I like that.
That is absolutely true. When you and there's even the icing on the cake is that those very labels were the impetus for the problem to begin with.
Right.
They were part of the problem. It was part of why people can't get along is because of these kinds of labels that sometimes accompany their struggle. Not always. Addiction doesn't discriminate. It's more prevalent in certain groups than others, and that seems to be directly linked with the amount of struggle within the groups.
Yeah.
But it crosses all boundaries.
Yeah.
And sometimes the struggle is really invisible. You look at somebody and it's like, wait a minute, you check off all of the privilege boxes.
Right.
But what you hear from them is that I just don't feel like I belong. I don't feel like this world doesn't make sense to me. Now, of course, they don't come in saying that most of the time.
No.
You have to develop a lot of trust with somebody before they're willing to go to that vulnerable place.
Right.
But when you do, it's there.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm like, I'm learning some stuff today. I'm seeing that. It's clear because, like I said, again, some of these concepts would be completely controversial to a lot of people. They'd just be like, what are you talking about? This might be dangerous or what. And what I'm hearing you say as you describe it to me, no, it seems more, actually, I get it more. I kind of like, oh, okay. It's like before you label me and say you're a this, let's look at what's going on. And then for you, because you're a free-thinking person, can figure out what your course is then. That's right.
That's right. And so speaking of the controversy, one of the first things that we are met with, the thing that people often lead with, is so are you telling people they can drink or they can use substances? And my answer to that is always absolutely not. I'm not in the business of telling people anything. Mm-hmm. I'm in the business of being curious about why people want to do everything.
Right.
So if somebody tells me that comes into treatment and says, well, I want to be able to drink like normal people, Well, that's a big statement.
That is a big
The
statement.
opportunity there. I mean, we just heard the word normal, right?
Right.
Therapeutically, I want to stay there and go, oh, what is normal? What is that
Yeah,
idea coming
yeah,
from?
exactly.
And what is it that makes you not that, right?
Yes.
And all of the various dimensions of that, rather than to meet that with, well, you can forget about that. That closes a really important door. So my response is, what does that look like?
Mm-hmm.
And why? Well, I want to have a glass, and I'll give you an example of
Yeah,
one of the most
please.
this is early on, one of the more important sessions that I had with a client uh, when I was beginning to work in this way. And so here's a client that has identified how he would like to drink, and he's gone through sort of some of the work to be able to develop a deeper sense of self and get away from old behavior patterns, which was sort of blackout drinking by 10 a.m. On a
Okay.
daily basis, things like that. So there's stability, there's all of these agency, the choice, all of these things available. And frankly, this person is absolutely succeeding based on what you might get on paper.
Wow.
He is identifying how much he wants to drink, when he wants to drink it, the fact that he wants to do it with his wife, etc. He comes into my office and he tells me at the beginning of a session that I don't think I can drink. And I'm like, what happened, right? Is there legal stuff? Did you get in an accident? Like, oh no. And he goes, no, I'm fine. I actually drank exactly what I wanted to drink and when I wanted to drink it. And that was on Thursday. But I noticed that I started thinking about it on Monday. And I don't think that that's the way I want to deal with it. I was trying to decide on what I was going to drink, how much I was going to drink, what kind of wine, red or white, what varietal, etc., etc., etc. And it was exhausting, and it just taking up too much of my bandwidth. And what that did was opened up a whole different conversation around
Yes.
his selection around drinking wine occasionally wasn't because he really wanted to drink that way. It was because he thought that I'll be okay when I can do that, because that's an image I've seen over and over again of what happy people do.
Right.
And that is a really important place to be. And this person sort of said, I don't know if my happiness is tied to alcohol. And that is a really powerful statement. Because the truth is, it's not for almost anybody.
Right.
There's some people who have really healthy relationships with wine, for example, but they're also collectors and they're experts and all of that. And a part of their happiness is tied to that. But again, that's more about being part of the wine community than the actual wine itself, in my opinion.
Yeah, I had to explain to somebody in my family. They're like, "Well, you have a glass of wine every night. That's not a problem. I like having, and I don't do it every night all the time. But I said there was some weeks where I just there was something bad going on in my life. I was actually having a great work week, but just having a glass at the end of the night, watching TV, kind of relaxing, it felt good. I slept really well." Now, I said that doesn't make me alcoholic. I explained to my dad, I'm an alcoholic, just like because I want to. I like the taste of the wines that I'm choosing. I'm not drinking some like $2 bottle somewhere, from the ground. I'm picking certain ones. I'll port sometimes after dinner. There's certain ones I'm picking on purpose because I want to feel the taste of it. It's the same with coffee. Certain coffees, I actually like the taste of coffee. I wasn't drinking it just because I needed to drink it. But I also like certain coffee flavors and certain coffee brands, and there were certain things I actually enjoyed it. So it doesn't make you an addict. It just makes you like coffee. That's all it means. I mean,
That's what I hear when you say that is it just feels as though you have a healthy relationship with these substances, which includes recognizing that sometimes you're using them. Let's just call it quote unquote. Appropriately for what they're there for, right? And sometimes using them to help you through. But you're recognizing that, and you have other tools that you didn't say this, but I'm inserting this part of it that says, okay, now let's deal with what it is.
Yeah.
It's a headache thing. If you get a headache, almost nobody's going to say, well, why are you taking Excedrin? It's just not a question people say. Right. But if you're getting a headache every day, you start noticing that, wow, I'm getting a lot of headaches, and I'm continuing to take Excedrin. Well, first of all, Excedrin is going to mess with your body just like any other substance will.
Yep.
But it's also not going to solve why I'm getting the headaches to begin with.
Exactly.
It's important to then look into what is it that drives the headaches. Yeah. If they're occasional, and we have a full life, which we all do,
Yeah.
trying to sort of navigate this awesome, weird experiment of humanity and life,
Yes, yes.
then we're not probably going to pay much attention to it. We're just going to take the Excedrin once in a while, and maybe even Excedrin sometimes, and Advil some other times, and a brisk walk another time, etc. But if it's happening more frequently, and we're starting to need to rely on it,
Yeah.
then absolutely, you will even get to a place where you'll start getting headaches so that you can get the Excedrin.
Yes.
And now we've tripped into a pretty unhealthy relationship with that whole schema.
Yes. And my thing is, I just, it is rough waters, and I always feel like not one size fits all, and I'm always looking for different ways to get to somewhere, and as long as they're all working towards that one goal that you want, it's fine. Actually now want to ask you just a bit about about the location. You're in Venice, which is obviously near the beach. It's down in that area. Tell us about the facility.
Yeah, so we have a very fortunate to have, again, luckily tripped into this awesome facility, which is very close to the beach. We have almost 4,000 square feet. It
Wow.
used to be a production facility, which
Oh, okay.
really suits us well because it's the farthest thing from a medical facility.
Good.
Where we do all of our work. Our program consists of three primary areas: therapy, somatics, which is the relationship with the body and the mind-body connection, and engagement, which is essentially case management social work, which helps people engage into their life. Done in group and individual setting. In an outpatient setting, we offer what we've been able to develop in terms of the maximum amount of disruption into somebody's life with the minimum amount of interruption into somebody's life.
Okay.
And we've done that for two reasons. One, to break patterns is important, to help people get out of cycles and rhythms that aren't serving them, and to establish deep, meaningful, trust-based relationships with our clients, but also to do it in the setting that they're going to need to be able to thrive in, rather than removing people into a residential setting, which I think is amazing to be able to do that. But it's certainly not enough. And that's one of the things that we see from time to time. People do succeed after a stint in a residential facility, but most frequently people end up being part of the lower end of the statistics because it's like, well, now what? Nobody's ever seen me in my struggle in my home environment.
Mm-hmm.
And our program is a 6-month program. We also have a 12-month option, really so we can slow things down, so we can begin with just stabilization and relationship building without having to worry about discharge from day one.
Okay.
This is not the kind of thing that's built in a day. Certainly there's variability between people. People come in and they move at their own pace.
Yes.
And there's not much we can do to change that. Well, that's actually not true. We could change that quite a bit, but that's just exertion of power. All right? We have a lot of power. People don't come to us at their top of their lives. They come to us at their most desperate. So we could exert a lot of power, but we choose not to, or at least be aware of our power. And so we go slow, and we step down our program from a 6-day-a-week intensive program down to up to 3 days a week of groups and one individual session at the final phase, so that people are taking what we do here into their lives and experimenting in their lives, but they also still have us for this final phase of treatment to come back and sort of tweak and make changes, vent, do whatever is necessary so that we really allow this new way of being to root into their lives.
Wow. One day I want to come down and see your place. I mean, I'm here in LA. I want to see it.
Please.
Come down.
Oh, we'd love to have you. Come on down.
I'll come down.
It's a great spot.
Yeah, I want to come down and just see it and see what it looks like and talk to you and see what it looks like. That's great. I mean, it's great. I mean, it just sounds like a place that's a nice alternative, another option. We keep using the words other options, but I think those words are actually very important, that people know there are options out there.
That's right.
For an issue you may have, and it could be with the substance abuse, and in some cases, drinking. that you. So do you only drinking, or do you drinking and drug counseling? Do you do both? Or is it
I'm
just
sorry? Oh, no, we do both.
you do both? Okay.
And even beyond that, most people don't come in with, my life is great other than drinking. There's all sorts of things.
Okay.
And there's often things that are associated as well. So we really focus, if you were to label us more than anything else, we would be mental health services.
Okay.
And addiction treatment would be a subset of that.
Okay.
Again, we don't focus on the substances. We focus on the individual.
Well, that's why you say health and wellness in your title. I like that.
That's right. It's health and exactly. Wellness, exactly. The other piece that sometimes on the controversial side people come to is this idea that this is treatment light, and it's actually quite the opposite of that. This is a very, very serious business, and what I mean by that is our industry, because people's lives are on the line.
Yes.
These are people whose struggle is mighty, and the response to that struggle is significant, and the impact biologically, psychologically, some would say psychically, of the cycles of addiction are severe. So we recognize that, and in fact, this program is rooted in the idea that it's time for us to stop hurting people by limiting options, because that's exactly what we do. And then we blame them for it. Oh, they're just not ready for treatment. Oh my goodness.
I know, it's so funny. It's so funny. So now, in this, you have people, just hypothetically, people come to your treatment center, to your health and wellness center, and they decide through the counseling that they do have, like I said, it's their own. They want to label themselves an alcoholic. What do you suggest for them? Like, do you suggest them they go to a 12-step, or do you continue working with them? Or how do you handle that?
So anybody that calls us, and we offer free non-sales consultation. We are not a sales-based company. If people choose to come here, fantastic. This is why we're here. This is how we make our money, pay our bills, etc. But that initial consultation is a mutual evaluation of needs. Our program is designed in a particular way, and we offer certain flexibilities, but we can't offer total flexibilities. We are not a custom-developed program to meet every individual's needs. And so we work with them to see what is best, what's happening, and what's working, and what would most likely do well. We just had somebody that was really interested and really, really wanted to come to our program, but they live way out in the valley. And so it made more sense for us to refer them to a treatment facility that is ideologically similar to ours, who we've met with, and we've developed strong relationships with other facilities.
Yeah.
Because it just didn't make sense for this person to drive all the way to Venice and interrupt their life too much. And it would jeopardize their ability to participate. So if somebody comes in and they're looking for a particular kind of therapy, and that's not the kind of work we do, then what we'll do is try to help them find that to the best of our ability.
Okay.
That's where our engagement department kind of kicks in. It's the social work that keeps lists of options and alternatives, and we vet those sort of a pre-screen, and we sort of let people choose what works best. Our program certainly delivers sobriety and also moderation, and we meet both of those with the same question. Why? Why do you want to be sober? Why do you want to moderate? So that the person even has a stronger position in their own decision, because they know that they've thought about it.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. That's very interesting. So, you guys, it's not good. Okay, so one question I'm asking is completely, it's important to us Los Angeles in many cases, but for folks who don't live out, how is the parking and everything over in that area? Because it's, Venice and Santa Monica are crazy to come to. It is kind of a serious question because people, it's kind of, I guess you take an Uber over there, but you know what I mean? Like, it's that area is so congested and packed full of tech companies and people living there and restaurants. There's a lot of stuff over there.
And we are across the street from Google.
Oh, yeah, there you go. So,
So we are right in this epicenter of Venice Beach.
Yes.
And we have two things. First, by some miraculous stroke, the street parking here is both free and often available. And secondly, we have have our own parking lot, which is a gated parking lot, that we offer to clients, whether they're coming in for a consultation or they're coming in as part of their treatment. So we have, knock wood, we have not had trouble yet.
There you go. I like wood too.
Company, we're also not at a place where we're sort of at full operation with dozens of people coming and going at all times. But our ethic is to make sure that people are safe, that they have a place to park. We've designed our program actually to our program. The group aspect of the program, the 6-day piece, is from 6 to 9 p.m. And from 5 to 6, we actually have what we call happy hour, which allows clients to arrive between 5 and 6 and to engage in activities that are socially based. They interact with us and with each other. We have therapeutic aspects to that, but that's specifically to address the traffic and parking issue.
Wow.
So people have a soft hour arrival before diving in, so you're not walking in thinking that you're missing stuff. So we try.
I'm LA, so I can't help it. I gotta ask. I'm LA. This is all about, because I'm trying to find. Because I, my studios, we're down in Inglewood, and it's getting crowded down here. So, but I just know Santa Monica, Venice. You getting down to Marina Del Rey and on Plano, it's getting busy. So the West Side is busy. So I just want to make sure people know. Yeah. You just had divine intervention by why you get that space. It's all divine intervention. It'll just kind of happen for you over there.
Yeah.
And now,
we are lucky. We have decent parking right around here. We've not had many. We've had very few people who even had any disruption. So, so far, so good.
Very good. Now, on our page, Extra Connections, I have also posted links to their Facebook page, and I'll post links to the website or whatever. But tell people where they can find you on social media and online.
So, yes, it's EVO, EVO, Elephant Victory Orange, Health and Wellness. Our website is EVOHW for Health and Wellness.com. We have Facebook. We have Instagram. Our website's the best place that will link you to all of that.
Okay.
All of our contact information is there. So that would be the best way to get a hold of us.
And if you want to, people out there who are listening who may want to contact me and want me to facilitate a meeting, connecting with them, I can do that also. It doesn't matter how if you want help and want to look within yourself, we're not limited to just one situation. So if you want to contact me and email me or message me, you can also, and I'll get you to him, get you to the organization. We feel more comfortable doing that. But yes, I think anybody who's listening to this and feels like they might need to go and do a check-in with themselves, I think this could be a great option to check out. And James Lott Jr. fully endorses this message. I do. I fully endorse it. I fully endorse it.
We are here to help make change. We're here to help people to the extent that we can do that. We encourage people to give me a call. They will speak with me directly. I will be glad to listen to what's going on and offer what options there may be in and around their own neighborhoods and what we offer and whether or not there is a mutual interest to go forward, if this program is appropriate or not. But like I said, that initial consultation is we don't consider that a sales meeting. We consider that a consult in which we try to help.
And folks, I'm going to go down there soon, and I'm going to meet him and see this facility. I'll give you guys an update. If you go ahead and subscribe to our Facebook page, I'll give you an update of what I think and what I saw, and I'll meet Koorosh, and we'll talk Koorosh, and we'll talk about stuff. And I want to see what it looks like, and I can actually fully give my endorsement to it, and so people can see what we're talking about.
James, thank you so much for having me on.
It is my pleasure having you on. And, of course, folks out there, you can follow us on Community and Extra Connections. We are on iTunes. We are on Spreaker.com. And we're actually in talks of being on iHeartRadio. So that's something you just hold on to that. That's coming up soon. And, of course, we have the Facebook page. You can just like there, follow. You can follow all these interviews that are there, including this one. And you can follow me at James Lott Jr. We're all James Lott Jr.'s are sold. Just type in James Lott Jr. anywhere, and I pop up. You guys have a great week, and take care of yourselves.